A snail plague is the latest and some argue greatest threat to Australia's exporters, and its epicentre is right here in South Australia. Among the various disastrous effects, 730's been told the snails are behind a spike in land sales as fed-up farmers call it quits.
All of a sudden something happened which caused them to breed up fast and stop any, avoid any control, so they became an issue.
We've put a lot of energy into this, and a lot of heartache, a lot of stress, and we seem to be losing the battle. We're going backwards, we're losing the battle with the snails, that's for sure.
This battle between man and mollusk is unfolding at Waruka on South Australia's Yorke Peninsula. The snails have been here for almost a century, and farmer Graham Hayes says there have been outbreaks before, but nothing like this. An unusually wet summer last year meant snails gave him the slip.
Didn't realise that the snails had already laid their eggs. And then we put our bait out, and with a few mice around, the mice had taken a lot of the bait as well.
There are 4 species of snails causing trouble, all of them from the Mediterranean, although no one knows quite how they got here. Yorke Peninsula has the worst problem, but the snails are in the southeast of South Australia and also Eyre Peninsula. They are north of Geraldton and in southern Tasmania, the New South Wales south coast and western Victoria and through Mildura. And they're also here in Adelaide's parklands, where years ago they inspired a budding scientist.
Oh, I remember them fondly from being an undergraduate in Adelaide many, many years ago when we were taken up by the professor of the day at University of Adelaide to do simple ecological experiments with them.
These days, Jeff Baker is with the CSIRO in Canberra and one of Australia's foremost authorities on the snail. They are, he says, an example of what happens when an organism suddenly finds itself free from predators.
It's a classic example of introduced pests escaping the natural enemies that attack them in their native home and then can get away in larger numbers in the new habitat.
Now in their new home, snails wreak all kinds of havoc, which Graham Hayes has documented over the years in this DVD. They eat crops. In bad years, the sheer amount of slime they produce can put stock off eating. But it's other habits that make snails such a threat to a whole range of exports.
The rest of the world is watching. These snails, because they climb up things in summer, they climb onto all sorts of things that are exported to America. Oranges in crates going to America, for example, carry snails with them.
Already crops have been rejected locally, and agronomist Troy Johnson says for some, after drought years and low prices, snails are the last straw.
There'd be a lot of properties coming onto the market, and a percentage of those will definitely would be at the stage where they've decided that it's just too hard and it's time to do something else. Yeah.
Graham Hayes has found baiting only works on adult snails. Juvenile snails are too small to eat the bait. So he uses huge steel cables to knock the adults off stalks onto the hot ground where they'll die. Or he uses vast rollers to crush the snails in the paddocks. All of this helps, but they are not perfect solutions.
These snails here have crawled up on the top surface again because they weren't killed by the rollers, they were pushed into the soft soil.
Burn-offs and tilling can help control the snails, but they come at great cost to the land. Work is being done by the Grains Research Development Corporation on an Australian-based snail parasite. There's also hope for a natural European predator, such as this parasitic fly, though Jeff Baker is disappointed with the results so far.
Finding the silver bullet has proved very difficult over many years of research. My personal view is we need to explore that biological control avenue of research further than we have.
We don't want another cane toad, so we're very, very careful about what we bring in. So we have to do long-term rigorous testing before we actually release anything new into the environment.
What irritates Graham Hayes most is that 6 years ago, as he was warning of the danger posed by snails, he says the GRDC cut funding to research. The GRDC says it's more a matter that the projects had come to an end.
Certainly after a number of drought years and low interest in snails and now a couple of damp autumns and the resurgence of snails, it will go to the top of the priority list, I'm sure, with many growers, and therefore we'll start to try and get some more projects on the ground.
For the moment though, hard work and a bit of hope are what people are relying on.
My one desire in life is to live long enough to be able to find a solution where we can control them.
I'm an optimist and I think we can certainly get on top of the problem. It just takes a lot of work and a lot of time.